My friends, this is the most expensive PS5 review you're gonna see on the entire internet because I paid the equivalent of $2,500 for this PlayStation 5, which sounds like a lot, but you obviously need the context of our previous video where I had to convince somebody with 2 PS5 pre-orders to actually give me this console if I gave him a PC, gaming PC setup with the equivalent of $2,000 worth of hardware, an RTX 3080 included, plus paid the full retail price for his console. So that's what it took for me to get my hands on this PS5. So I spent around $2,500 on this console, probably closer to $3,000, which makes it double what the going market rate is for them right now. If you go on OfferUp or Mercari or any place, you can find that they're selling between $1,000 and $1,200. And I'm gonna make a bold claim in this video. The PS5 is the best gaming system you can get for $1,000 right now. Should you spend $3,000? No. But $1,000? I can see myself justifying that pretty easily with what the PS5 packs into here. So let's go ahead and get into that after we talk about today's video sponsor, because I still need to pay this damn thing off. And when you're playing video games, you're gonna need a nice gaming chair to do it in. My friends, today's video is brought to you by the chair that I am sitting on. This is the eWin Flash XL gaming chair. It's ergonomic, it's got pillows, and it is XL, as they say. It can hold up to 550 pounds for its max load, which is just bananas. It's called the XL because if you compare it to the previous eWin chair that they sponsored us with, it is just large. My goodness, this is great for anybody who needs some extra width when they sit in a chair, which I personally prefer because it gives me room to kind of slide around, or again, it has that max weight capacity in case you need it over standard gaming chairs. And on top of that, it's got all the features you would expect in a gaming chair, and it's super duper comfy with their cold cure foam, which is 2 times heavier than regular foam per cubic foot, which gets it close to memory foam territory. eWin makes some of my favorite comfy gaming chairs. It's got all of the adjustments that you can need for leaning back, as well as for adjusting the armrest. They've got large, durable, soft glide casters that make hardly a noise when you slide around on the floor and will also not damage the surface beneath the chair. So go ahead and check out the link in the video description, and you can use coupon code UFD to save 30% off for the month of November on the Flash XL. It's a large chair, it's large in my heart, and you can save a large discount, 30% off using code UFD. Check them out. So obviously the claim that this is the best gaming experience you can get for $1,000 sounds kind of outlandish, especially since the fact that I'm in the PC gaming community. Wouldn't you be able to build a better PC for $1,000? No, you won't be able to build a better PC for $1,000 than this. Right now, the best $500 graphics card on the market is the RTX 3070, and they're out of stock everywhere, so you wouldn't be able to do that. And especially if you built a $1,000 gaming PC with a $500 graphics card, you're gonna be skimping on some areas that the PS5 actually does really well in, such as in that PCI Express Gen 4 SSD, such as in the fact that it actually has an 8-core, 16-thread CPU, not to mention the form factor, the fact that it includes Wi-Fi, the fact that it includes a controller that comes with it. $1,000 gaming PC, you're probably looking more like a 5700 XT, and I feel like the PS5 does a lot better than a gaming PC with the 5700 XT in a lot of ways, because the PS5 is actually, as much as Sony's been saying it, it truly is a generational improvement over the PS4 and a lot of other gaming experiences that you were having previously. For the next gen games that have come out for this, such as Spider-Man Miles Morales and Demon's Souls, you're getting a completely different experience than anything you can get elsewhere. And honestly, even the design of the PS5 looks futuristic. This is what I imagine next-gen gaming would look like when I was a child with my PlayStation 1. Now, the PlayStation 5 and the new Xboxes offer something that you can't get on a gaming PC right now, which is the ability to instantly load into games. Now, the boot time to get into this screen on both Spider-Man Remaster and Miles Morales is roughly 20 seconds, but I want to show you in real time just how fast it is to resume a game. Continue. And there we have it. Spider-Man, in roughly 2 or 3 seconds, is now playing. That is something that is unavailable on the PC at this moment, which makes this a much smoother gaming experience than you can get in some places. And then looking at things like ray tracing in Spider-Man Remastered and Miles Morales, it's some of the best implementation that you can find even out of games on the PC if you exclude Quake 2 RTX and Minecraft ray tracing. This is some of the best looking AAA ray tracing that I've seen. You can see yourself in the reflection on buildings and cars in both of the games, which is just insane and adds to a level of immersiveness that you can't find elsewhere. It actually serves a purpose for the game as opposed to things like ray trace reflections in Battlefield 5 where you're never going to notice them because it's a first-person shooter. But it's not just those games that actually feel next-gen. It's this one, Astro's Playroom, which is a huge surprise and delight for me on the PlayStation 5. It offers an experience that I didn't expect I was going to get coming into this game. It's honestly just kind of a showcase to show you how the new DualSense controller works, but this is how tutorials and introductions to new pieces of technology should go. It offers so much nostalgia. It doesn't actually give you all of the information of how the controller works, but instead allows you to feel it. When you run on sand in Astro's Playroom, it actually feels like you're on sand, or when you run across metal, like on this PlayStation logo, and then transition to a regular floor, you can feel it with the vibration that's going into the DualSense controller. And honestly, I'm not going to spoil too much, but this game is such a nostalgia trip if you've had PlayStations in the past from the PS1 all the way up until this area. This game is an absolute delight and really shows off things such as the adaptive triggers on the DualSense, which are actually really good. I am surprised that I enjoyed the adaptive triggers so much. You really feel it in Astro's Playroom. I haven't experienced it so much in Demon's Souls, which is the only PS5 exclusive launch title that's come out, but just things like in Spider-Man, there's an extra little bit of resistance when you are doing your web slinging over just the regular DualShock 4 where you have the triggers, and it feels hollow when you go back to the PlayStation 4 version, and then on the PS5 it actually feels substantive, like you're actually a part of the game. And a lot of people might end up turning off things like the adaptive triggers and the vibration, but I do think that if we can get more first-party implementation, there are really ingenious ways of implementing it, such as in Astro's Playroom, where when you're a spring guy, there's extra resistance in the triggers that make it feel more like you're actually a spring person in a video game. But it's not just the next-gen games that are improved, it's actually the previous gen as well. God of War, Final Fantasy 15, as well as a whole bunch of other games that have things like performance mode. I'm finding that they're running at a lock 60, whereas on the PS4, it was more like 30 to 50 FPS and it was bouncing all over the place. Now, God of War is a completely new experience for me because it actually runs at 60 FPS and feels like an entire new game. It actually feels like it's remastered from the get-go. Now, there are a few things that aren't improved on the PS5 playability side, such as loading times. Compared to my PS4 right here, has an SSD in it. I don't play on a PS4 without an SSD. There is exactly 0 difference in load times on a PS4 with an SSD and the super fast SSD that's on the PS5. Now, if they could patch it and somehow take advantage of the stupid fast SSD that's on the PS5 and we could start seeing loading times in the 10-second region as opposed to 41 seconds for God of War, that would be amazing. But for now, the frame rate improvements on previous gen games that do have an unlocked or at least up to 60 frame rate actually makes games feel brand new. And it just really makes me want to play games that I played previously again because it's offering a brand new experience. Not so much in other games like Horizon Zero Dawn because that's now on PC and I can get 120 frames per second with an RTX 3080, but for PlayStation exclusives like God of War, it honestly feels really good. The quality mode actually runs at a better frame rate than the performance mode does on the PS4 Pro, which is remarkable. Now, as far as the physical aspects of the PS5, obviously it's large, but things like the side panels come off easily so that you can customize it however you want, as well as easily access that SSD that's under there. I tried to put in a PCI Express 4.0 M.2 SSD in a previous video, which you can check out right up there. Suffice it to say, the PlayStation doesn't even let you boot if you have it, even with the fastest consumer drive on the market. So that'll likely come in a patch, but that's probably the biggest downfall of the PS5 right now is the size of the SSD. The storage space is simply not not enough. You get about 600 odd gigs of usable storage at the end of the day, and at the current moment, with just 9 games installed, I am sitting with 157 gigabytes left of usable storage, and just considering the fact that AAA games are going to only get larger as the years progress, it's very clear that you need to be able to get expandable storage, and that Sony kind of made the wrong decision with only giving you 1 terabyte. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I would have preferred an additional SKU in the $600 to $700 region where you got a 2 terabyte storage drive as opposed to the 825 gigs that are on the PS5. And then there are a couple other minor hiccups that I would consider a problem that Sony needs to patch out of the console, such as the fact that you can't even store PS5 games to an external drive right now, and the fact that when you're in a game, such as I am with God of War, and then I want to go ahead and boot into another game, there is no confirmation screen asking me if I'm sure that I want to do that like there is on the PS4, so you might end up actually losing some progress in some games, but that's easily fixable, and I think Sony can address that in a couple of patches. And then there's just a few other things that are neat and enjoyable, such as the fact that with PlayStation Plus, Sony now gives you access to a lot of the great games that were on the PS4. The PS Plus collection is obviously no Game Pass. It doesn't really compare to what Xbox offers, but in case you didn't play any of the best games from the previous generation, such as God of War, Persona 5, Bloodborne, The Last of Us, Uncharted 4, Sony has come out with hit after hit after hit, and they include it in the PS Plus collection, and you can get that for less than $10 a month if you're willing to pay for a yearly subscription. And then overall, the UI just feels better. There's quality of life improvements that give it a nice enjoyability. It does have the new card system when you're in a game. I don't see myself ever really using that. You see here that it gives you progress of the things that you've done. I personally won't ever look at it. And then honestly, the comparison between the PlayStation 5, the new Xbox, and the PC just really comes down to game library. Obviously, the hardware experience of a $500 console with a 4K Blu-ray player, you're not gonna match that value on the gaming PC side of things right now. With Xbox, with the $500 Series X, you might be able to match it, and it has things such as Game Pass, which is just gonna give you a plethora of previous games to play, but the PlayStation 5 currently has a lot of hits that are worth playing. Spider-Man Miles Morales is incredibly enjoyable. The Demon's Souls remake looks phenomenal and plays great. It's honestly worth getting. And then it has a ton of games that are upcoming, such as Gran Turismo 7, the new Ratchet & Clank game, Returnal, as well as sequels to the hits that they had on PS4, such as Horizon Forbidden West and the brand new God of War, which they're saying is going to come out next year, but I highly doubt that's going to be the case. I'm going to say that's a 2022 release. Anyways, the PlayStation 5 has a ton of games that are coming to it and coming to it exclusively that make it so that it's a really great gaming experience right now and then even in the future. And I heard the comparison that if Xbox is kind of like the Netflix of games with Game Pass and having such a large library, honestly, the PS5 is more like cinema. It's more for that refined single-player, first-party experience where you're going to get really high-quality games that you can't get anywhere else. And I honestly think that holds true to a large extent. The PS4 offered me some of the best gaming experiences that I could have gotten. Obviously, I would have preferred to have them at higher frame rates. I would have preferred to have them on the PC, but the fact of the matter is I could only get them on PS4. And if I would have said to myself that I wouldn't play them because they're on a console, I would have been missing out on some of the best gaming experiences in the last decade. And I think the PS5 holds that promise right now. It has the hardware to provide next-gen graphics, next-gen frame rates, as well as the fact that it will have a lot of good first-party titles that look really promising if the developers can keep up their end of things. And currently, I am working on a review of the Xbox Series S, so I would hold tight for that. I do think the comparison of the PS5 being more of a cinematic experience is quite true. Gone are the days where you had cinematic frame rates, and now we're looking at 60 FPS to 120 FPS, such as in Devil May Cry Special Edition that's come out. And honestly, the PS5 is next-gen gaming. It offers something that I personally can't find on a gaming PC right now. The 3080 offers the graphics horsepower that you need. AMD's new graphics cards, the 6800 XT, do offer that, but they don't offer the value that the PS5 does. When you have the CPU included, when you have the GPU included, when you have that wicked fast memory included, a 4K Blu-ray player, a gaming controller, and everything that goes along with the PlayStation experience, it's hard to argue against picking it up for $500. The PC just can't compete on the value perspective right now. And then not even talking about value, talking about games. PlayStation 5 has a lot of amazing games. And so would I have paid a retail price of $2,500 for this? No. Would I pay $1,000 for it? I kind of can't get a better experience on PC for $1,000 right now. That's my take of the PlayStation 5. I honestly really love it. I love what Sony has done here. It is bringing next gen. Obviously, they need to make a few changes in order to bring the quality of life to where it needs to be, such as the fact that I would be able to add extra storage or just sell a console that has higher capacity storage than what's available right now. Those will probably happen later on down the road as SSD pricing gets a little bit cheaper, where you can find a 2 terabyte edition of the PS5. I'm hoping Sony goes that route. But I absolutely love this thing. I'm going to continue to play God of War. I'm going to continue to play Spider-Man Remastered because it's honestly a breathtaking take on the original game that was on PS4, as well as Miles Morales and Demon's Souls. The PlayStation 5, honestly, it is chef's kiss. It's as good as I was expecting it to be, which is honestly saying something. Sony has come out swinging with the PlayStation 5, and I think it's an easy recommendation at $500. So that's gonna be it for this video. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the most expensive PS5 review that's ever happened. Don't forget to check out today's video sponsor, because you do need a great chair to sit in when you're playing on your games. Don't forget that today's video is brought to you by eWin's Flash XL gaming chair. It's still down from before. Check it out at the link in the video description. Use coupon code UFD to save 30% off. And that's gonna wrap it up. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Get subscribed to stay up to date on all of our tech related content. I'm Brett with the UFD Tech channel, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.